Thank you. With Dave Poulin, Jeff O'Neill, and Darren Dreger. The Leafs and their fans have just found out that a second-round loss can be as painful or perhaps more painful than all those first-round losses. We'll get into how it ended in just a moment. But have we just witnessed the last hurrah for this group from management on down?
I think you have, James, and what you have here is a massive opportunity wasted from the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got to give a ton of credit to the Florida Panthers, but if you look at who got eliminated in the first round, some heavy hitters in the National Hockey League went out. You would have to think the Toronto Maple Leafs would be frothing at the mouth, saying we have an opportunity here to do something great. They considered themselves Stanley Cup contenders, and they once again did not get the job done. They get props for winning a round. They ended the slump of winning a round. They get props for not rolling over and just handing the series to the Florida Panthers. They did show some fight, but at the end of the day, all they got is another wasted opportunity.
Yeah, 5-game series loss to the Florida Panthers, I think, tarnishes the success of the first round. I mean, to be able to throw out the talent on the ice that Sheldon Keefe and the Toronto Maple Leafs can, it has to be unacceptable for this group not to produce more offense than they did. You look at this series and you see 0 goals for Austin Matthews, 0 goals for John Tavares, 7 straight games where the Maple Leafs couldn't score more than 2 goals. In a nutshell, that's why they lost the series.
Well, 7 years for the core four, 5 for John Tavares, and I'm including Morgan Riley in that first group. This is by far the most complete team that they've had on paper. This is the best opportunity they had with that group. And if you look at the additions they made, they went out and got Ryan O'Reilly, Calder winner and a Stanley Cup winner. They had 6 additions at the trade deadline. They can't support that core four group any better than they have. And at some point, it just says, okay, you can't give them anything else. That a young goaltender went in, he played well. Every single bit of it was there for them to do it.
We'll get to what happens next in a moment, but first a quick autopsy on this loss. What happened on the game winner?
The play started going up and down in the overtime, James, and the Toronto Maple Leafs just could not recover and get back on a 3-on-2. You're going to see the puck coming through the neutral zone. It gets wide to Achari. Liljegren gets it to Achari. It goes to the net, and you're going to see that collision in front. And Liljegren knocks over O'Reilly, and then Radko Gudas takes over, and he shoots up the middle of the ice, realizing there is space. Some people might think that's interference, but he clears the lane. Nick Cousins recognizes that, a little toe drag, and Joseph Woll has no shot in the play.
Exactly the same situation at both ends of the rink. A 3-on-2 at one end with a defenseman in the middle, a 3-on-2 at the other end with a defenseman in the middle. Gudas does the job, but I give him credit because he realized that it was a forward back, Yarncroke. And he attacked that side, gave the puck to that side so they could make the play, with Sam Bennett arguably the better choice on the other side.
We could spend 10 minutes talking about Morgan Riley's goal that wasn't. There was one moment, which was well after the whistle, that everybody was talking about on social media that was clearly in, that didn't matter. It might have been in afterwards. It doesn't matter. And even the Leafs were shrugging their shoulders saying it doesn't matter. We still had an opportunity to win the hockey game. So now what do you do? What do you do? So let's start at the top. Is Kyle Dubas back? Is Sheldon Keefe back?
Well, if you want to start at the top, you have to start with ownership and the board that governs the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you look at the overall Shanna plan, right? Kyle Dubas is on an expiring contract. Are we 100% certain he wants to be back with other opportunity presented around the National Hockey League? I believe that Brendan Shanahan wants to bring Kyle Dubas back, but you have to have that conversation, don't you? Not just about Dubas as your general manager, because the body of the work suggests that he does deserve a contract extension. What about Sheldon Keefe, the head coach? I mean, we saw him throw his lines into a blender various times over the course of the season and the postseason. He couldn't find the chemistry. So I think you have to explore the possibility of those significant changes.
And as far as the core players, they're all very talented. They do amazing things out there. They're some of the best players in the world. But time and time, they've proven, all of them together, they just don't get the job done. You can look at the Washington Capitals and say it took Ovi a long time, but you just can't rely on that and have that expectation to count on these guys and wait that long to get the job done.
This is very complicated from a contractual standpoint. First of all, there are 8 unrestricted free agents. You will not see that team come back as it was on the ice tonight. You just can't. But the core four, John Tavares has 2 years left. Mitch Marner has 2 years left, but July 1st, a no-move clause kicks in. both Nylander and Matthews have 1 year left. So Matthews really has the hammer here.
He does.
He has the absolute hammer because he can demand on July 1st a number and a term, and that could revolve and trigger everything else in that package.
It's going to be a fascinating couple of months for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And look, we're a Canadian sports network. We focus on the team that lost. The Florida Panthers, what a run here. They thought they were dead
Great
about
story.
a month ago. They knock off a historic team in the Boston Bruins and one of the other best teams in the league in the Toronto Maple Leafs and off to the conference final.